We are, of course, talking about Trump's nominee to run the Pentagon. Former Fox News weekend morning show anchor Pete Hegseth, who was on Capitol Hill today meeting with Republican senators in an effort to do damage control after a slew of allegations that at any other point in American political history have been disqualifying, including that bombshell reporting from the New Yorker's Jane Mayer about a, quote, trail of documents corroborated by the accounts of former colleagues, indicating that Hegseth was forced to step down from not one but two nonprofit advocacy groups that he ran in the face of, quote, serious allegations of financial mismanagement, sexual impropriety, and personal misconduct. And by the sound of it, more bombshells could very well be coming soon. Here's what the New Yorker's Jane Mayer told my colleague Rachel Maddow.
It's been almost a day since this story came out, and my phone has been ringing off the hook. I have been hearing from many more people who worked with Pete Hegseth who have come out of the woodwork to say they, too, have stories along the same lines.
Her phone has been ringing off the hook, as Rachel likes to say. Watch this space. And if at this point you're sensing a theme among Trump's cabinet picks, it's not you, it's them. The New York Times analyzed more than 60 of Trump's cabinet picks and potential senior members of a Trump administration, and, quote, a number of patterns emerged. Some were benign, albeit ironic, given Trump's constant griping about elites, things like having attended Harvard, Yale, or Princeton. But, quote, other uniting factors were unprecedented. Many of the nominees have denied or questioned the results of the 2020 presidential election. Some lack the traditional qualifications shared by their predecessor. It appears that the most important qualifier in Trump's mind has been fealty to him, which many of his picks have demonstrated in various ways over the past few years. 13 of Donald Trump's picks showed their fealty by making an appearance at Trump's criminal trial here in New York. Another surefire way to show your fealty: become a fixture at Mar-a-Lago. 12 of Trump's picks hosted or co-hosted events at Mar-a-Lago. Or you could become a Fox News host or contributor. At least 11 of Trump's picks went that route. And when all else fails, there's always Project 2025. At least 17 of Donald Trump's picks are associated with Project 2025 or the America First Policy Institute. The trifecta of fealty: Fox News, Mar-a-Lago, Project 2025. And remember, none of this is normal. It's where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Retired U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel and founder of Democratic Majority Action PAC, Amy McGrath is back, plus MSNBC political analyst Tim Miller's here. He is, of course, former RNC spokesperson, now the host of the Bulwark podcast. Also joining us, the president of Media Matters for America, Angelo Carusone. Amy, I start with you. The Hegseth nomination is important that any attempt to describe his critics as having anything to do with the left or the Democratic Party or the media is fact-checked in a nanosecond, because every one of the calls about Hegseth are coming from deep inside the right-wing house. And I mean inside the organizations he ran, which were sort of staffed up by conservatives. The allegations of sexual assault in Monterey was someone who worked with and at the conservative group he was addressing. All of the reports, all that we know about Pete Hegseth, we know from deep inside his right-wing circle.
Yeah, and the latest allegation was from a fellow veteran, Marine, who was on Trump's executive campaign committee or executive director for the campaign committee. So this is coming from Republicans, from conservatives, not from Democrats. But, you know, this pick for senators to reject should be a no-brainer. And in no planet is this guy qualified to lead the Department of Defense, not only from the experience level, but also from the ethical perspective. I mean, the financial mismanagement alone, he was in charge of an organization, Nicole, that had 10 people. It had a budget of less than 10 million. And he financially mismanaged that. Twice he was fired from these small organizations. And here's the thing: if you want this guy to lead, how about leading an organization successfully just once without getting fired for sexual misconduct or for financial mismanagement before you put him in charge of the DOD?
Let me show you some of what he is. I don't even know the right verb to use. Massaging. It's sort of gross with all the allegations against him. But his position on women in combat is evolving, if you will. Let me show you that.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, I don't know, 1995, let's just make those the standards.
How do you feel about the women in combat?
We have amazing women who serve in our military.
Do you think they should be in combat?
I think they're already in combat.
I'm not sure that the path to nomination winds its way through non-answers like that, but that's where we are, Amy.
Well, I mean, I think he sees the writing on the wall, that this is an issue that, women have been serving in combat, and lots of people see that, and it's not a winning issue for him, despite his personal beliefs. But I'll tell you, his misconduct, this is something that everybody in America should really know. This attitude of, oh, boys will be boys, and he's a combat vet, so cut him some slack for the rape allegations and the massive alcohol abuse. That kind of behavior, Nicole, would get him to a non-promotion status within the military, and now they want him to lead the Department of Defense. He would not even be promoted with that kind of background in the military. It's really hypocrisy and a terrible example to set for our troops.
Mm-hmm. Amy, are you having any private conversations with Senate staff or any senators who are more concerned than they're willing to air publicly?
Yes, I think that there are people that are very concerned. Look, it's really hard for many people to claim that they care about sexual assault, for example, in the military, and try to hold military leaders accountable for sexual assaults, the problems that we have within the ranks. And then you turn around and, I'm going to vote for this guy to be Secretary of Defense, when he, paid off the woman who accused him of doing the very same thing, when he has multiple allegations of personal misconduct that wouldn't, even be allowed within the military in terms of being promoted to a higher rank. So I feel like there are senators who really understand the military and do get that. And I certainly hope that they're paying attention right now to what this would do to our military.
Tim Miller, let me show you the current public posture on Hegseth. This is Jason Miller on CNN.
So when it comes to Pete Hegseth, there aren't any concerns, and we feel very good about his positioning for being confirmed by the Senate. I believe that Pete Hegseth is ultimately, when he has a chance to present his case, it's going to come across very clearly that he's going to be a great person to lead the DOD and that he didn't do anything wrong.
Do anything wrong. That's why Fox News paid out a settlement. That's why the Monterey Police Department released a 22-page police report. That's why Jane Mayer has a phone ringing off the hook and a deeply sourced, meticulously reported body of reporting about his mismanagement. And frankly, the public drunkenness and the sloppiness with which his own peers and colleagues describe him is really stunning and a real departure from the kinds of folks that Trump seemed to have been attracted to in a first term.
Yeah, well, he's looking for something different this time. I mean, he's looking for toadies, and I don't know. Maybe he's also playing a prank. I don't know. I was just listening to the interviews with Amy. It's like, is this a prank nomination? Like, how can you be serious with this? Like, this is such a preposterous nomination on every count. And you just see him be completely unable to answer that substantive question about women in the military walking through the halls. How is this guy going to survive a hearing? This isn't the Fox and Friends couch. There are going to be some tough questions at a hearing about his personal, private behavior, as well as his preparedness for this job, which he doesn't have. He has none. And so, look, this is a person who I believe it was Elizabeth Warren who used the word predator in describing him. It's hard to not describe him that way. I mean, you look at the Jane Mayer story, and Amy mentioned his inability to manage money and the fact that he's fired from jobs in leadership roles. That's disqualifying. But also in the personal behavior. Look, I live in New Orleans. If you want to come down to New Orleans and go to a strip club and get up on stage, I think that's questionable behavior and for the head of the DOD, but maybe you can look past that. But he's bringing his young female staff with him to this. He is lecherously creeping on women at conservative conferences. We went over this last time we talked about this, Nicole. Even in his telling of the story from Monterey, he still is drunkenly screaming at a hotel staffer about how he has freedom of speech at 1:30 a.m. and pressuring this woman to have consensual sex with him while he has a child that he had out of wedlock that had just been born. And he's in between two divorces. This guy is just a complete disaster class across the board. There's nothing there. It's not what is he? There is no case for him across his personal judgment, his professional record, his career. Imagine. I was thinking today about. Imagine if you're a commanding general. There's a commanding general in Europe in Africa named Daryl Williams, 60-something years old, went to the U.S. Military Academy, career from '83, whole career working up the chain. You're going to report to this guy, this TV show clown that has never done anything in his life? How is that a serious nomination? It isn't.